Because I'm a father of two beautiful children and I also own a dog and a cat, I decided to create this artwork and I will guide you step by step until the end of this video. I will only speed up the boring parts with the selections and the rest will be done at normal speed. Now we are going to select this area to hide it and to keep the rest. For that we are going to use the color range. So go to select and then color range. And now click once and you'll see that it will select some white parts here on the thumbnail. That means those areas will be the ones that we are going to hide. So for that hold shift and click on the other areas from the sky and we will select more and try to click between the leaves. Then hit OK. We managed to select those parts and hold Alt and click on the thumbnail. Now we need to select this area with the mountains. So we can see better, we are going to hold Ctrl and click on the add new layer and we are going to fill this new layer with another color so we can see better. So take the paint bucket tool or press the letter G and fill it with this blue color. Now let's go back to our mask. Here on the mask we need to select more. As you can see we still have some parts that we need to take care of. Here we are going to take this magic wand tool and we are going to select and hold shift. Of course this won't be perfect, there will be some areas that we have still not selected, so for that go and take the lasso tool and keep holding shift and we are going to select those areas. Then after you selected the rest of the part, go on the mask and hold Alt and click delete. Then deselect by pressing Ctrl and D and we have our selection. Of course if you look here on top you'll see those white parts that we don't need. So with the mask selected, go to filter, choose other and here choose minimum and choose a radius of 1 pixels and then hit OK. If you are satisfied with the result you can keep it like that, if not you can repeat the same process again. So go to filter and choose other and then minimum and choose 1. Of course here we will get rid of those parts or we can paint over. The same you can do here if you want to do it now. You can deselect the mask by holding shift and you can select those areas with the lasso tool, hold shift and select more from those parts. And then with this selection ready you can click again on the mask and hit delete and you'll see that it will bring back those parts. Now that we have done this part, let's create a new document. So go to file, new, and here usually I have those settings, so 3200 by 4000 with the resolution of 150 and then hit create. Go again on your image and drag it into the new document. Right click on the image and convert it to a smart object. And now press Ctrl T on the image and drag it to make it bigger and arrange it into your document. I think this is about it. And now we are going to drag this new sky into our document and let's drag it underneath our layer. And you'll see that it matches our image really nice and you can move it around. Now we still need to fix those parts of the leaves, so because this is a smart object you should double click on the thumbnail and it will bring you here. So here we are going to hold shift, click on the mask, and now we can do it with another method. Take the brush tool and take the hard brush and the flow opacity should be 100% and now switch to the white color. And now if we paint on the mask, paint on the areas that were hidden. After that when we are going to bring back the mask you'll see that those areas will be back. Alright, so we just managed to bring back those parts of the leaves. Press Ctrl and S to save it and go back to your file. Let's rename this layer sky and the other one let's name it frame. Now is the time to select those little kids and take them into our composition. The fastest way to select them is to use Photoshop auto selection, so you should click here on the object selection tool and if you click once you'll see that Photoshop will select the kids, or if you want you can select subject, click here on the top and Photoshop will select the subjects. So you can click on the mask and then double click on the thumbnail and now we need to refine some things. Here on the hair with the second brush, the refine edge brush tool, you can paint around a bit on the edges of the hair and you should click OK after you are satisfied with the result. So here it's selected too much from the hair. Go on the mask, take the brush tool and switch to the soft brush and make the brush bigger and select a smaller flow around 15%. And if we paint with the white color, it will bring back that part that Photoshop selected too much. Alright, I think we are done, and now let's drag the kids into our document. Alright, so those are the kids, and now let's right click and convert it to a smart object, and Ctrl T to shrink them, so drag it and find them a really good position. Those leaves from here should be on top of his back, and the same, her hand should be under those leaves. So for that we are going to add a mask and then go on the frame layer and hold Ctrl and click on the mask. And here you see that this part should be on top of her hand. So go back to the mask, take the brush tool, and with the black color selected, we are going to paint on this area with the leaves. Now we need to have some shadows underneath them so they look like they are sitting on that wall. So go underneath the layer with the kids. Let's rename this one kids. But first let's organize our layers better. So go on the sky and hold shift and click on the group, and let's rename the group sky. The same with the frame, hold shift and click on the group, and let's rename this one background. And on the kids the same, hold shift, click on the group icon, and let's rename this one kids. And on the kids layer, underneath the kids layer, hold Ctrl and click on this create new layer icon, and here let's set it to multiply. Take the brush tool and the soft brush and the flow around 10%, make the brush a bit bigger and right click on the screen, and here on the top let's drag the top slider to the middle somehow to create this oval look. And now hold Alt and click on the brownish color of the wall, something like that. And now we are going to paint underneath her dress and everything, basically the bodies of the little kids that are touching the wall. Alright, I think this is enough, and now let's take care of the colors of the kids, because if you look at the picture they are too saturated and the brightness is too much compared with the background. So first of all we are going to go on the kids layer. So first of all we are going to decrease the brightness on the little kids. So go and select levels and click on this little icon to clip this layer inside our kids layer. Here we are going to decrease this white slider, the whites. Okay, something like that. Don't worry if it's too much. And now let's click on the mask, select the brush tool, and the flow should be again 10% around there. And with the black color we are going to bring back some parts from the original lights of the kids. Alright, and now let's add a selective color to change a bit their colors. So go and select selective color, and the same, clip it inside, change the blending mode to color, and on the neutrals of the selective color we are going to play a bit with the settings. Alright, I think it's enough, and let's click on brightness and contrast now. The same, clip it inside, and here I have decreased the brightness and the contrast on the kids. And now I want to change the color of his shirt. So now take the pen tool or press the letter P and let's select his shirt. After you have selected the shirt, press Ctrl and Enter, and then go and choose hue and saturation, and then let's clip this hue and saturation inside the layer with the kids. So click on this little icon, and now if we change the hue, you'll see that it will change the color of the shirt. So you can change this color to any color that you want. And I'm changing the blending mode also to color, and as I said, you can change the color of the shirt with anything that you want. In my case I went with this bluish color because I really love this color, and I have noticed that I forgot to select this little area. So with the pen tool or anything that you want, like magic wand tool, you can select the area again, Ctrl and Enter, and if you press delete it will delete that area. And now we can repeat the process and change the color of his bag. So go and take the pen tool and select only the bag. Press Ctrl and Enter, and then go and select again hue and saturation, and now clip it inside, and the same process, change the blending mode to color, and if we change the hue, it will change the color of his bag. We are going to add another layer, which will be exposure. So create a new adjustment layer and choose exposure and clip it inside and decrease the exposure a bit. And now let's invert the mask by pressing Ctrl and I, and with the brush tool, let's make the size of the brush bigger, and with the white, and now if we paint with the white color, we will make those parts darker. Then the final lights adjustment, I'm going to use the dodge and burn with the soft light method. So go to layer, new layer, and here choose soft light and fill it with 50% gray. And hold Alt and clip this layer inside the layer with the kids. And now if we take the black color and paint on the areas that are already dark, we will make those areas even darker. I think we still need some shadows underneath the kids, so on the layer with the shadow, just take again the brush tool, select with holding Alt a color from a dark color from the wall, and then paint more. Now let's add this little dog. I'm going to select the little dog really quickly, take the object selection tool and choose select subject. Alright, and now let's look at the selection, and of course Photoshop select the dog, but not really that well in my case, so I'm going to take the lasso tool, hold shift and select the areas that Photoshop did not select. And with the Alt key, if you hold Alt, you will deselect the areas that Photoshop selected and you didn't want Photoshop to select those areas. Click on the mask and we have selected the little dog. And let's drag the dog into our document and drag the dog on top of everything and hold shift, and we are going to add this little dog to a group, and let's name the group dog. And let's look a bit on our dog. A really cool thing that I'm going to show you is to use the smudge tool on the mask, because we need to bring back a part of his fur. So on the mask, go and select the smudge tool, and let's decrease the size of the brush. And now if we are going to drag, you'll see that it will drag some parts of the original fur. Alright, so this was a really quick tip and I think you'll find it useful. And then let's right click and convert the dog to a smart object and rename the layer dog. Then let's press Ctrl T and shrink the dog and place the dog near the kids. And now I really don't like those parts of the leaves because they will cover too much from our dog, so I'm going to hide those parts of the leaves. So let's hide the dog for a bit. I really love this part from the leaves, so I'm going to select it, press Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and now I'm going to move this to the left a bit, and on the layer with the frame I'm going to double click on it and select all this area with the leaves, and I'm going to delete them, something like that. Press delete, then Ctrl S to save this image, and then go back, take your layer that you copied, and we are going to leave it here because it looks nice. Ctrl T on the image and then flip horizontally, and you can play around, rotate it and make it smaller and place it over there, and you can add a mask, and with the brush tool, the black color selected, you can paint on that area, and now we managed to have that area really nice. And let's bring back the dog, let's see. Alright, so now on the dog layer, let's see if we can keep those leaves on top of the dog. On the frame layer, hold Ctrl and click it, and you'll see that will make a selection with our frame layer. Go on the mask of the dog, and with the brush tool and the black color, if you paint, you'll see that that part from the leaves will come on top of our dog. And now let's see how we can move around the dog. So deselect a bit the mask from the dog, so click on this little chain, click on the dog's thumbnail, and if we move the dog, the mask with the leaves will stay there. Alright, now let's take care again of the mask of the dog. So link it, click between the layer of the dog and the thumbnail. And now with the black color selected, we are going to deselect some parts, and with the white color we are going to bring black some parts of the dog's layer. Alright, I think it's enough, and now let's add some shadows underneath the dog. So hold Ctrl and you'll create a layer underneath the dog, and now on the blending modes we are going to select multiply, take again the brush tool, soft light, and the flow should be around 10% or less, and then right click on the screen and drag the top point to the middle to make an oval, and again with the Alt key select a brownish color from the wall, not black, because the shadows are never 100% black. So now if we paint, you'll see that we are going to add some shadows underneath the dog. And now on the dog layer, let's add again levels, adjustment layers, and here clip it inside, and now let's drag the white slider to the left to make the dog even darker. And then let's go and take the brush tool, again the soft brush, and with the black color this time selected, I'm going to paint on some parts of the dog that should be a bit brighter. Go and choose selective color, set the blending mode to color, and clip the layer inside the dog's layer. And now let's see, I think this is enough. And now let's create this dodge and burn layer again. So go to layer, new layer, and here select soft light and fill it with 50% gray. Clip this layer inside the dog's layer by holding Alt and click between the layers. And now with the black color we are going to paint on some parts of the dog to make those parts even darker. I noticed that the dog's black values are too increased, so we need to change that. And here on the levels I'm going to drag these black values a bit to the right, and I think now it's okay. And now those leaves that are behind them should not be that bright because they are behind them, and now because we have those subjects over there, they should be darker. So now let's go on the background, and on the frame layer go and take again the levels. And here clip the layer inside and drag the white slider to the left, something like that, and then invert the mask by pressing Ctrl and I. And here take the brush tool and the white color, and now if we paint, you'll see that it will make those parts of the leaves darker. Alright, I think now it's enough. Let's add the cat. So we have this lovely cat. We are going to select the cat by using the same method, and let's go and take the object selection tool, select subject, and Photoshop selected the cat, and let's see, take the lasso tool, zoom in, and we need to deselect some parts by holding Alt. Alright, and then click on the mask, and let's see, our cat looks a bit weird, but we are going to fix this. I have a full tutorial on how to select the fur on my channel. You should watch that video because it's really interesting. Now let's double click on the icon of the cat, and we are going to choose refine hair, and here decontaminate colors, and now press OK. We still have some areas that do not really look that well, so we are going to take care of them. So on the mask I'm going to take the fur brush that I just told you about, that I used in that tutorial, and on the brush properties I'm going to deselect color dynamics, opacity should be 100%, and the flow should be around 50%, and with the black color I'm going to click on the mask to hide those areas. Of course, this takes some time, you need to have patience, and then when you finish, just drag the cat into your document and right click and convert it to a smart object. And let's drag it on top of everything, and then hold shift and add it to a group and click on the group icon, and then rename the group cat, and the cat layer, let's name it to cat. Ctrl T on the cat, make it smaller and place it near the little girl, and press Ctrl T and shrink and flip it horizontally and drag the cat near the little girl again. Alright, now let's place the cat behind the leaves. So create a mask on the cat's layer, go on the frame layer and hold Ctrl, go back to the cat, select again the mask, take the soft brush and Now if we paint with the black color, it will bring back those parts from the background. Now let's do the same things. We are going to add first levels, clip it inside and decrease the whites. Alright, something like that. Then add a selective color again, clip it inside, change it to color, and let's see on the neutrals, decrease a bit the cyan. And now let's go again on the levels, adjustment layer, on the mask, take again the brush tool, with the soft brush decrease the flow to around 10%, make the brush bigger, and now if we paint with the black color we will have some original lights on the cat. And the same, because those leaves are behind the cat, we need to make those leaves darker, so let's go to the frame layer, and here with the white color selected we are going to paint on those parts of the frame to make those parts darker. Now it's the time to add the rainbow. So go on top of everything, create a new group, and let's call this one rainbow. On this group, create a new layer. Let's take the gradient tool, so press the letter G and choose gradient tool from the tools. And normally not everybody have those gradients, those default gradients, so we need to add them. Go here on the window and choose gradients, and let's make this bigger. And then let's click on this little list, this little icon, and choose legacy gradients. And Photoshop will bring our legacy gradients that normally we should have them, but Photoshop decided to hide them. Now we need to go to special effects. Here on this list, the last one, it's our rainbow. Alright, so we selected our rainbow. Delete this layer for instance, and now let's create another layer, and having that special rainbow gradient selected, here on the top don't forget to choose and click on the transparency. And now with the radial selected and that gradient, that rainbow, we are going to create a rainbow. And let's go outside our frame somewhere around here and drag the rainbow to around here, to the center of our image. Alright, so we created our rainbow. Let's drag the rainbow group underneath our background, so it should be behind the background and in front of our sky. Choose screen on the layer and drag it to the left. Now press Ctrl T and rotate it to the left, and let's make it bigger and bring it back. And I think it is too bright and too saturated, and we are going to change the opacity to around 75-80%. Of course you can add a mask, and on this mask, if you paint with the black color, you can hide some parts of the rainbow, because normally the rainbow is not visible all the way, so we can hide this area for a bit if you want, and the top part, something like that, and I think it looks really nice. Now let's add some rim lights on our characters, so let's start with the cat. On the cat's group I selected the last layer, and now I'm going to layer, new layer, and here the mode should be linear dodge, fill it with black, and now clip it inside by holding Alt and click between the layers. Here I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to double click on the layer and drag this layer to the right, and hold Alt and drag the left slider a bit to the left. Hit OK, and now with the brush tool selected, I'm going to click by holding Alt on the sky and select this color. The flow should be around 2-3%, and I'm slowly painting on the sides of the little cat. Now I notice that this part of the cat should be darker because it's in the back, so I'm going to create another layer. I'm going to use brightness and contrast, and I'm going to decrease the brightness, and I'm going to increase a bit the contrast. Ctrl I on the mask to invert it, and then with the brush tool and the white color I'm going to paint on those parts that should be darker. And because this part should be a bit blurred, because the focus is not on the cat, let's go on the cat's layer and then go to filter, choose blur gallery, and here fill blur, and let's decrease the overall blur to 0. And on the cat let's click once here, and on this area let's set a 4% blur, and then on the rest of the cat let's click again and set the blur to 0, and the same here, 0, and on top of it should be around 1%. Alright, then hit OK. we need to do this with the rest of the characters also. I had to speed up this part because it's the same thing that I did on the cat, I did on the rest of the characters, on the children and also on the little dog. Basically I copied that linear dodge layer filled with black, and I fill it with 100% black again, so I can start over with the rim lights, and it has the same blend if applied to that layer. So basically, if you learn how to do it once, you have to repeat the process to the other characters that you have in your design, and in our case we have those little kids and the dog and the cat. So once you are finished with the kids, you repeat the process on the little dog, you copy that linear dodge layer, and with the same colors and adjustments you are going to do the same things and apply the light in the right part of your subjects. So after I finished with the rim lights, I applied again the blur. You have to repeat the process that you did on the cat with the blur gallery and then fill blur, and set the overall blur to 0, and then just click around and add some points. The bottom area should be blurred and the top area should be not blurred, and I repeated the process to the dog also. So as I said, once you learn it, you have to remember all the steps, because that's the idea on a design. You repeat a lot of things many times. Then we need to apply the camera raw filter to set up the final details and effects on our image. So press Ctrl Shift and I, and then right click on the newly created layer and convert it to a smart object, and go to filter and then camera raw filter. Let's see what we can modify here. So depending on how you want the image to look like, so you can have cool tones or warmer tones, it's just up to your mood at that moment. Alright, so those are the things that I did on the camera filter, then press OK. And now I think we need the bottom part to be a bit darker, so I'm going to add a new adjustment layer and choose brightness and contrast and decrease the brightness, and then press Ctrl and I, invert the mask, take the brush tool, make the brush bigger, and with the white color selected, I'm going to paint on the bottom area. If you are using the hashtag Mr23review whenever you post your art on Instagram, you have the chance to be present into my videos as a featured artist. Talking about that, I have chosen Jandy Art as the featured artist of this week. I believe that he also participated into some kind of contest with this design, which I really love. It's a whole story inside it, and I hope he will win that contest or whatever it is. This time I tried a different approach on my videos because a lot of people asked for this type of tutorials, and I know that my latest videos were way more scarier than this cute design that I did for you today, but I hope that you learned a lot of things from it. Please let me know in the comments, I am really curious to see your opinions about it. Please have in mind that this design took me 2 complete hours to create, and nobody will ever look 2 hours on a tutorial or on a single video. Do you know what's my average view duration on my channel? I'm going to tell you. Maybe this will shock you, but this is the truth. It's 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So imagine that almost all my videos are like 20 or 30 minutes long, and the average view duration is 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So whenever I do more complicated designs, please understand that I have to do a layer breakdown to make it shorter. Check out my other tutorials until we meet again next week.